Hello everyone, I hope you are having a fantastic day today. My name is Daniel and this is Alon beside me, and today we will be doing a deep dive on testosterone signaling. Let's get started. Testosterone plays a crucial role in the development and regulation of male characteristics, from influencing muscle growth and voice deepening to playing a key role in fetal development. Testosterone is an essential hormone in the human body. But how does it actually work at the cellular level? In this video, we'll break down the testosterone signaling pathway, explore the function of androgen receptors, and discuss how this process impacts male development. Before we get into the specific details of testosterone signaling, let's start off with some of its basics. First, testosterone is a hydrophobic signaling molecule, meaning it tends to repel or fail to mix with water. This is important to note because this means that testosterone diffuses directly through the cell membrane. The group of receptor proteins used in testosterone signaling are called androgen receptors. Androgen receptors are used for allowing the body to respond appropriately to certain hormones like testosterone. When an androgen receptor binds to testosterone, a conformational change occurs. Androgen receptors are primarily located inside the cell's cytoplasm, and due to testosterone's hydrophobic properties, testosterone can diffuse directly through the cell membrane, as we mentioned earlier. Androgen receptors have several crucial functions and advantages. The primary advantage is that androgen receptors are essential for male sexual differentiation during embryonic development. Additionally, androgen receptors are used for the development of male sexual characteristics like facial hair, voice changes, and muscle growth. Although androgen receptors have many advantages, they also contain disadvantages. To begin, the androgen receptor has a slower response time because testosterone takes a longer time to diffuse into the cell. When androgen receptors are blocked, this can lead to the development of prostate cancer. Additionally, mutations or insensitivity in the androgen receptor can negatively impact sexual development. So, what do androgen receptors do? First, androgens like testosterone enter the cell and bind to the androgen receptor. When androgen receptors combine with hormones like testosterone, an androgen receptor complex is formed, binding to DNA. This in turn regulates the activity of certain genes that play a huge role in male sexual development. The created attachment acts like a switch that can turn on or off certain genes. Finally, this leads to the production of proteins that cause changes in the cell.
Now that we've gone over the basics of androgen receptors, let's take a look at the effect of testosterone on the cell and how this leads to masculinization of the fetus. So, let's go ahead and draw the cell membrane here. And up above the cell membrane, we'll have the environment, and this is basically just the outside of the cell. And down below, we'll have the inside of the cell. We're going to start with a testosterone molecule outside the cell. As we stated previously, testosterone is a hydrophobic molecule, meaning it can diffuse through the cell membrane. Since the concentration of the testosterone is higher outside the cell, it will pass through the membrane by means of passive diffusion, meaning it's just going along the concentration gradient. Once our testosterone is inside the cell, it binds with the androgen receptor, AR for short, which is an intracellular receptor located in the cytoplasm or nucleus of the target cell. When testosterone binds to the androgen receptor, the complex undergoes a conformational change. It is then able to enter the nucleus and bind to androgen response elements, which we call AREs for short, in the DNA. The reason that testosterone is so important for this process is that the androgen receptor is actually unable to enter the nucleus when it is not binded to a testosterone molecule. In their inactive or unbinded state, androgen receptors are bound to chaperone proteins such as heat shock proteins. The chaperone proteins in the cytoplasm mask the nuclear localization signal, NLS for short, needed in order to enter the nucleus. The conformational change that the complex undergoes when the testosterone binds to the androgen receptor is what releases the chaperone proteins and allows the complex to enter the nucleus. I threw out a lot of big words there, but what's really important to understand is that the testosterone causes a conformational change which frees the androgen receptor from chaperone proteins and allows the androgen receptor and testosterone complex to enter the nucleus. This is what activates the transcription of specific genes involved in male sexual development. The intended response is the masculinization of the fetus, including the formation of male reproductive organs and brain differentiation. The signaling pathway is terminated when the testosterone dissociates from the androgen receptor, leading to its inactivation or degradation, stopping the activation of target genes. Additionally, feedback mechanisms help regulate testosterone levels in the bloodstream. Let's quickly clarify some final points about testosterone signaling. The stimulus is where the testosterone molecule binds to the androgen receptor, allowing it to translocate to the nucleus. The signaling molecule in this case is the testosterone, which is produced by the testes. It is important to note that in order to bind to the androgen receptors, the testosterone must first bind to a 5-alpha reductase enzyme in order to catalyze the formation of DHT. The receptor in this case is the androgen receptor, which is located inside the cytoplasm or nucleus of the target cell. Obviously, the receptors are only in the nucleus once they have bonded to the DHT and they translocate into the nucleus. The molecules involved in intracellular response are the androgen receptor, the testosterone, the AREs on the DNA, and the DNA itself.
Flutamide is an antagonist that blocks the androgen receptor by binding to it without activating it. Because the receptor is not activated, gene expression is inhibited. Flutamide is exogenous and comes from pharmaceutical drugs. It is used to treat prostate cancer by blocking androgen signaling, which prostate cancer cells rely on to grow. The testosterone signaling pathway is affected by flutamide by blocking the androgen receptor, which prevents the activation of androgen-responsive genes. As a result, the biological actions of testosterone in tissues is effectively diminished. When flutamide binds to the androgen receptors, the conformational change that would occur under normal conditions is prevented. Thus, the cell's response is altered, inhibiting the process of cell growth. Ultimately, this causes the prevention of gene transcription. The normal gene expression patterns that would trigger testosterone are disrupted, and the processes they regulate are inhibited. That is all for today. Thank you for watching.